So Erika Kirk sat down for an interview with Jesse Waters a couple of days ago, and I love that she did this. She answered a lot of questions that I think we've had over the last couple of months. I, for one, believe that Erika Kirk is handling this with a lot of grace, probably far more than I would have in this situation, especially considering all of the mudslinging and the conspiracies that have been circulating what happened, and all of the people surrounding Charlie Kirk being thrown under the bus, which is still wild to me because up until September 10th, pre September 10th, all of the people that are slinging mud at Charlie supported him, loved him, trusted him, and believed in what he was building. And since then, because of all of these rumors, all of these theories flying around, people are putting it out there suggesting that maybe TPUSA was an evil organization. Maybe his own widow wanted him dead. Maybe the people that surrounded him were done with him and just thought up this way to get rid of him. That's pretty much what people are saying, which is absolutely wild to me. But I'm not going to get into that today. I just want to touch on some of the clips from this interview and hope and pray that this will encourage people to continue to give Erika Kirk some grace, to give her some space, to allow the investigation to happen. Let's get into a few of these clips. But before we get too much further, I am Outspoken Samantha. I appreciate you so much for being here. Please hit the like button on this video and subscribe to my channel. I appreciate you so much for doing both of those things. The first clip I want to look at is Jesse Waters asking Erika Kirk how she found out what happened.
Was at my mom's doctor's appointment. I have my phone and I see the video coming of him flinging out the hats. And I said, Mom, look, it started. So we saw the hats being flung. I put my phone down and it was on silent, so I had no reason to look back at it. I moved my mom. I went back to grab my phone, and that's when Mikey started calling me. He called me within seconds.
I called Erika. I just remember it rang like 3 or 4 times. I didn't know what to say. Those are the words that will change someone's life forever, and you have to be the one to say it. That was the first time I've ever called her during a campus tour stop.
And so Mikey called me, and I'll never forget him just being like, Charlie's been shot. He's been shot, get the kids. Get security, get the kids, he's been shot. I sprinted out of her treatment center and just collapsed in the middle of the parking lot. Called our security. Yeah. Unbelievable nightmare.
It's just absolutely unreal, but I'm so glad that people were able to contact her and let her know what had happened and hopefully, again, warn her to stay off the internet, to not see what was circulating there, because I'm sure a lot of you saw that video when it started blowing up everywhere. And I don't know about you guys, but I did watch it, and not because I enjoy seeing things like that or find any satisfaction in it whatsoever, and that I hope there's nothing wrong with my brain, but I did watch it a couple of times, partly because I couldn't escape it because it was everywhere, but also because it's just hard to fathom what it is that you're watching, that this is actually something that is happening. And also, in my brain, I was hoping that it wasn't as bad as what I was seeing, that somehow it just nicked him, or that it just was a superficial wound of some kind, or that there was any possibility that he could have survived it. I was just hoping and praying that what I was seeing in front of me was not what it actually was. But again, so glad that she found out from people that she loved, that loved Charlie, because if you've heard Erika talk about this as well, Mikey McCoy is his name, somebody else that Candace Owens has been dragging through the mud. He had been told by Charlie numerous times, if anything happens to me, call Erika, call Erika, call Erika, call Erika. That was what Mikey did immediately. It had been drilled into his brain because Charlie knew that this was a possibility. He and Erika were used to receiving death threats constantly. She talked about in this interview how they were used to receiving threats about people kidnapping their children. So Charlie prepared for something like this to happen. He knew, because these Antifa thugs, the left, these unhinged activists, these trans activists, as it turns out to be, were very threatened by him and threatened by people spreading goodness in their lives and rejecting these heinous ideas. And they wanted to stop that flow of ideas. They were threatened by that. And he knew that the violence that was in them could eventually play out in real life. He knew that. He said this multiple times. This is part of the reason why I wholeheartedly reject so many of these conspiracies, because this is something that Charlie had talked about forever. He wasn't talking about being threatened by Israel. He wasn't talking about, this underlying conspiracy to get rid of him. He wasn't threatened by the people around him. He didn't feel unsafe about the people around him. He talked repeatedly for years about the threats that he was receiving, and he knew that someday somebody was going to be unhinged enough with this unhinged ideology in their brain, and they were going to carry that out. And he prepared his friends and his family for that, not just by how they would act in that moment and what they were instructed to do if it did happen, but by laying out the plans for his organization and leaving basically a blueprint for TPUSA to continue even after he was gone, that the work would not be interrupted. He knew and he was ready. So then Jesse asks Erika about her thoughts on all of these conspiracies that have been circulating since Charlie's death. And I hope that her answer and her request will resonate with the people that for some reason are trying to make her life an absolute hell, more of a hell than it already is, with their insane theorizing and mudslinging.
There's other theories swirling around about Charlie's assassination.
Right.
How does that make you feel?
When everything happened, my phone died and became a black hole. I just didn't turn it on for weeks on end. I've intentionally insulated myself because I need to guard my heart, and I need to be there for my kids, and I need to be there for Turning Point. And what I've realized through all of this is that everyone grieves differently. Everyone is trying to figure out, and I don't blame them, how does this happen? How does somebody become so radicalized where they can justify this in their own head? We just lost one of the greatest voices of our generation.
And I just want to pause right there when she says everybody grieves differently. Initially, when I heard her say that, I imagined her, and that's something that I've been saying a lot is, anybody that has ever experienced a loss in their life understands that nobody can tell you how to do it properly, and nobody who's ever been in your exact shoes can tell you what's right or wrong about your grieving process. And it's going to look differently when you're in public and with friends and family versus when you're by yourself or when you're with your closest loved ones. You're going to fall apart in front of them versus when you're in front of other people. But I think she's also offering grace to people and understanding why they're theorizing the way that they are. She's saying, I understand that this might be the way that you need to process this, that you need to have these questions answered because this thing was so horrifying and so tragic that I understand why you want answers and you want them now because it's just so difficult to believe. So she's actually giving them grace and understanding that what might be driving people to behave this way.
Why? How? What's behind it? Like, everyone's trying to process this. And I respect that. But where my heart is just asking for some grace is for the ones who were there that day. They have to relive that every single day. He didn't die in a car accident. He didn't die from cancer. He was assassinated. And the difference between this and previous assassinations in this country is there was no social media. There was no AI. I can tell you how many fake images are out there of all of this. And again, my only request is that just please pray and consider and think about whatever you put online because it's going to impact his kids in the future. I don't want my kids to go on the internet one day when they're older and see things that it's just, we're all trying to process this in their own way, and I appreciate that. But just some grace would be nice.
Of course, I feel like people that are obsessed with these conspiracies are not going to give her the grace that she is requesting. But I do find it interesting that she is specifically requesting grace for people who were there, who loved this man, who were his second family, who loved him like a father and a son and, an actual blood relative that saw this play out and will never be able to get that out of their brain. She's asking for grace for them. She's found a way to guard her heart and to limit her exposure to the things that people are saying and exposure to the images that people are creating and whatever else they might be spreading online about Charlie. But the people that were actually there are never going to be able to do that. They saw it with their own eyes and they can't hide from that. There's no way to turn off their electronic device and erase that image from their brain. And she's deeply concerned for them. Final point that I want to touch on is when she is personally asked, do you think that they have the right person in custody? Do you think they've caught Charlie's killer? And this is what she has to say.
Do you think they've caught your husband's killer?
So something I'm so grateful for is that we have one of the most incredible teams for this case. I would never wish it upon anybody to have to go through what we are going through. To have seen the autopsy report, to have seen the different evidence portions that have been collected. I trust our team.
Now, I know that she didn't directly say yes or no, but she has seen things that nobody else has seen and that nobody is going to be able to see, maybe ever. But a lot of the things that we're not going to be able to understand or know until this case really gets going, till it goes to court. And I'm hoping that they do allow cameras in there. And I know that that is something that she has advocated for as well. But she's basically saying, you know, with everything that I've seen, I trust that based on all of this stuff that they have gathered, that they do have the right person in custody. I know she does not want the wrong person to take the fall for this. I have said repeatedly before, nobody wants answers more than Charlie's wife, than the organization, and the people that were around Charlie every single day. They were the ones that loved him. They were the ones that protected him. They were the ones that helped him build this unimaginable organization that has done so much good over the course of a decade. Nobody is going to want the truth more than they do. And if there is something going on in the investigation that does not smell right to them, they are going to be the first to ask those questions. So just because all of these people are making videos and making money off asking questions does not mean that they are the only people asking questions. They are just publicly theorizing and creating more theories so that there's more questions and confusing the heck out of everybody. Anyway, I am so glad that she is doing these interviews, and I'm praying for her family, praying for her kids, praying for the people that knew and loved Charlie. And I just want the truth like everybody else. And I hope that that's exactly what we get. And I do believe that the people that are looking into this are in pursuit of that as well. I would love to hear what your guys' thoughts are in the comments below. Please be sure to hit the like button on this video and subscribe to my channel. As you guys know, we always end with Charlie Kirk. So keep it real, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.
My wife joins us, Erika Kirk,
Hi,
the beautiful,
everyone.
legendary Erika.
I love you so much.
I love you.
You're my best friend.
Welcome to the Charlie Kirk Show. We have asked the audience for questions. You pick one.
Who is more conservative and why?
Erika,
Yes.
by far. Not even close. I am a moderate compared to Erika.
Andrew always jokes that once you got married to me, you got more based.
That's true. That is true. No, Erika is very conservative. Do you
So.
think having kids made you more conservative?
100%. Which I didn't think was possible.